What's good, everybody? It's your boy Demetrius Behind the Lens, and we are back for another episode of the Creative Vibe Podcast, episode 007. And today's guest is a really special guest. I'm excited about this. Content creator, photographer, videographer, editor, wears so many caps, entrepreneur, businessman. I mean, I can't say enough about this guy, man. My guy from the BX, my man Hector Hernandez. It's good.
What up, my guy? Appreciate you. You are. I want to say you already know, but you do already know. You was there from the beginning. One of the first people I met when I started shooting. So you definitely know. It's not just
man.
It's not everybody goes. You already know, but no, you do know.
Oh yeah, man. I definitely know, man. I've seen you put in the work. You know, you wear so many hats. So like content creator is like the word that I think everyone uses now just to kind of sum up, you know, the need to do photography, video work, editing, lighting, sound, streaming, and now podcasting, which we'll dive into obviously with what you got with a Bronx studio. Feels kind of weird because I did the last 3 episodes. Episode 3, 3, 4, and 5 over there with K Boogie, Flickmaster, and Golden Squad. So I want to say thank you for allowing me to use your studio and break it in. So that was really dope.
Yeah, man, for sure. You definitely broke it in, and you know we said this earlier off camera. It feels weird because you were here first. I actually, truth be told, I have not shot my first podcast yet. I've been on others' podcasts, but I haven't shot any content for me yet. So you definitely broke it in. It felt good to have, my peeps, K Boogie, and you come in. We tweaked a couple of things. So the bar is you running at it, you setting the bar high, and here we are, man. You streaming. Let's get it.
Man. That's what we do, man. From London to the BX. So you already know what time it is, man. But I just want to jump right into your journey. Obviously, on the Creative Vibe Podcast, that's what we do. We highlight creatives of all kind. Obviously, I love the photographers and the videographers and the people like that. But for all spectrums of the creative world, we like to dive in and shed light on their story for people here in the UK and around the world to gain some information and inspiration. What was the particular moment that motivated you to be a photographer?
So photography for me was an opportunity. Honestly, was an antidepressant before I felt like I was going to be depressed. So I'm gonna just get to that real quick. I had 3 martial arts schools. I started martial arts in like 2004. Traditional martial arts in like 2004. Prior, I dabbled a little with boxing. Had 3 martial arts schools. I closed my last one. Shout out to all the senseis, all the guys that was with me. My team. There's too many to mention right now, but I'll do another podcast on that. I shut it down in late 2017. And I've always had a camera. I've always had video cameras and cameras. My uncle shot. Coincidentally, my other uncle shot. My brother from another mother shot as well. And I always wanted to do it, just never did. Like, got out of manual. So when I shut down the school, I heard that photography was a great way to pass time. I heard vets were doing it to combat PTSD, and I felt that I had given so much, almost 15 years in martial arts. I felt like I needed something for me, and I just grabbed the camera. First cam. A lot of people had the Rebels, and I had the T3i. When I didn't know what I was going to do. T3i, right? Everybody had the Rebel. Like that was.
I actually had the T2i, the very first one.
T2.
Nice. T2i, yeah. Ill hybrid camera of its time.
Yeah, for sure. And then I had the T3i. It's still a rock solid camera. Like I want to actually get it. It got stolen, but I want to get it again and shoot a little with it because it was nice. But so I said, you know what? I'm gonna do this for real. I'm gonna shoot 3 days a week. I'm gonna edit 2 days a week. I don't care what I'm gonna shoot. I'm just gonna shoot. And I ended up wanting to do like hip hop, and I ran into DSN. And I did a little street photography. I was out in the street. Had a couple of friends and models and people, but the goal was, what do I like to do and where do I want to contribute? So I decided, let me go run in the streets. And I actually found, shout out to Dante. I found Dante downstairs near the DSN on 134th Street. So shout out to Dante. He's one of the engineers.
Okay, yeah. Shout out to Dante, man.
Kind of like you, running and gunning. Artists, new up and coming artists. I was thrown in right into the wolves. I think I shot like Mariah Lynn, Love and Hip Hop people. One of her,
Dope.
like, I was in her VIP area, courtesy of DSN as well. Shout out to DWI. Um, that
Most
led to
definitely.
other opportunities, state property. It led to a lot of opportunities with Derucci. Shout out to Derucci. Did a lot of content for him, like early 2018, 2019. Um,
Mm,
and I just wanted to continue and continue. Then, I said, you know what? COVID came. Um, I want a studio. Like I think that's the next layer for me to do studio shoots. Open up a studio, which is actually right on the other side of the door. Bronx Photo. I was tired of renting, and then fast forward into today. Now we're here at Bronx Tale Studio. So I wanted to dive into the podcasting area, and then here we are, man. So definitely many hats. I'm humble about it, though. I hate comopreneurs. Like, you really got to spend 2, 3 years, sometimes even more, to decide. Look, this is what you want to do,
hmm
and then grind it out and then do it for real. Like, as you know, and I'm looking at your setup, that took time to learn. Lighting takes time to learn. Like, the angles,
hmm
the settings, like all of these things, man. But anyway, that's it. Soup to nuts, man. We're here today.
Nah, no, definitely, man. It's crazy because I didn't even realize how I didn't even realize like how new you were kind of into the photography world because
Facts.
you spent so much time. Like I seen you with so much, like you had the R, you had dope lenses, you had what most people don't come into the game that heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like I
For
seen you
sure. For
use
sure.
and you kind of came in quite equipped already. And so I wouldn't been able to tell that you were just kind of like finding a new lane to somehow deal with mental health. And I find it really a dope that you chose photography. Photography is a very dynamic and very introspective and outrospective sort of kind of trade to take up, and it holds a lot of weight, especially depending on who you shoot, what you're shooting, and you also become a tattoo in people's lives if you take pictures of a wedding. Those pictures will be around for generations.
You're
So
taking
I
pictures
think
of moments, and event photography is a moment. And you've been part of that reign for a very long time, not just brand building, but when you take a picture of an actual moment, I love stage photography. Like, I haven't really
mm,
been doing that. It's been a bit, but you just said it. You tattoo, it's done. Like, you locked it in. Nobody can ever replicate that. Studio photography, you can replicate. Uh, Sometimes brand work, magazine work, and a lot of these
yeah,
things you can replicate. But when it comes to like event photography, impossible. You shoot an artist, you never see that
yeah,
same lighting, same people, same picture, same vibe. Never again. You
it hits
just
it
hit
right on
it.
the head.
It's journalism. It's
Yeah,
shout out to your peoples. I met him once or twice, but that's your dude, Johnny Nunez. So I saw Nas. I was at the
yeah,
Nas concert in New York, MSG. I didn't shoot it, but I saw Johnny Nunez in the pit shooting it. So once you have those pics, and I got hyped because it's like, shout out to, respect the photographer, like,
$100%.
respect the shooter. Like, once you get those pictures, you're never gonna see that again. It's you said it. Tattoo is the best word. It's
Yeah,
locked in history.
yeah,
You shot that frame, never again. You're never gonna use the same settings. Probably you can't replicate that. It's a one
yeah,
time deal. It's
yep,
lightning in a bottle. It just can't be done again.
yeah.
And I'm gonna just drop these flowers right here. I probably said this to you before, but the relationships that you've built over the years, that's so, for the new generations that are coming up. It's not just about doing the work. It's how you got those relationships, how you finagled your way in. Because I know in the very
100%.
beginning, nobody knew the name, right? They couldn't be like, yo, get Demetrius, that's my guy. Like, so you're trying to like figure out your lane. And as you're doing it, you're building these relationships and you're building content for these people and you're giving them everything.
Yeah.
Like, 100%, you're giving them everything. And then you get that one shot, that one banger. You're like, all right, you know what? This is it. I got it. I did it. And it's locked in. It's locked in history. But again, those relationships are super solid when you're out there building. Whatever your lane is in photography, make sure you keep those relationships solid.
You're right. It's about building relationships as well, as doing the work for sure. 100%.
Yeah, that phone doesn't ring. I've seen a lot of great work from different photographers, new guys, older guys. The phone doesn't ring because you did great work. the phone rings because you were a great person to people. That's just it.
100%. 100%.
Like
And
it
I think
doesn't. I don't give
photographers,
a
yeah,
fuck how good your work is. Like somebody's gonna remember you, and they're gonna be like, no, I'm gonna call my guy, and that's usually the reason it rings.
when you approach, let's say, photography, what is your formula? What do you do
Got
before
it.
you get
Got it.
into a shoot?
Yeah. So I've been I kind of chose my poisons early on. I wanted to do like just artists and brands, you know, and I've been kind of like sliding a little bit. I feel like I was stuck with another photographer. When it comes to the brand, I have to guess my only approach has been finding out where the brand is right now, and then asking a very simple question: who do you want to be when you want to grow? You know, when you grow up, and then trying to
Mhm.
help them build off of that. Like some brands will be like, oh, not to talk too much about who they wanted to be, but let's say I wanted to do. I remember a brand said I want to be like Pharrell's new brand. That's kind of how I see my product. So then the goal is to try to replicate that and help that brand still have a little bit of a personality.
Mhm.
I have to figure out where the brand is and where they want to go and help them that way. Sometimes I've shot like up and coming models. I've shot people. Actually, just shot with a model not too long ago. I mean, she's on her way up, but that's been the formula so far.
Mm.
Kind of anticipate where they want to go and help them get there. I think Wayne Gretzky is like he tries to be where the puck is going, you know, not
Mhm.
where it is. So it's like you want to try to be just a little ahead. That's been kind of my formula for a little bit
Uh, okay. That's dope. Is there any
for
specific
photos anyway.
tools? Well, yeah. What is there any? Okay, is there any specific tools and techniques that that you rely on to enhance your creativity? Um, like, is there anything that you lean on to help bring out that approach?
Yeah, right now, just you said something earlier, and you're absolutely right. I did come into the game with a little bit more gear than the average photographer. A lot of photographers, what they do is they stick to one camera, one lens, and they don't really invest in themselves. I came from martial arts. I already had three schools. I was doing pretty well on my
Dope.
9 to 5, so I didn't know what I wanted. So I just started buying tons of shit, right?
Mm,
But I
that's
don't
dope.
give that advice. What I do say is less is more. Start with one lens, dominate that lens. I fell in love with the 35 millimeter and I shot with the 35. I had the 35 2.0, which is really inexpensive. You could get it used. And then I did the 35 1.4,
Mm,
which is my I love that lens. But that was really my approach, you know, getting a lot of angles, really learning your aperture, really learning what the lens can do. That's
yeah,
something that I don't think
that's very important.
people think about that early on. A lot of photographers go straight to the editing. It should look like this. Well, there's so much. There's aperture, there's shutter speed, there's light and there's framing. There's so much. So just pick one of those things, two of those things, and you should be solid for a long time. Say, okay, I'm gonna work with aperture. That's the blur effect. And that you learn through distance and then settings. So once you kind of lock that in, that kind of becomes, or not just that, any of those three items will become part of your kind of your style, and you
Mhm.
start to kind of move, you know, slide into certain directions. You know, some people don't care too much of that because they're just shooting a really high aperture if you're doing studio work,
Mhm.
or if you're doing low light for whatever reason, you don't care either. You just want the lowest number possible. But play with those two, three tools.
That's dope. I mean, I've learned the importance of, because when I first started, I had the Nifty 50. So I wanted one that could give me,
Everybody, yeah.
yeah, you want that compressed image, you want that bokeh, you want that low light capability, but obviously you're limited by the distance, right? And if you're shooting on a crop sensor, then it's putting it from a 50 to an 80 essentially, right? 85. So,
And that part right there, D, a lot of photographers don't give the Nifty its value because they're not shooting on a full frame and they don't fall
yeah.
in love with the 50. And those are things that unfortunately, I mean, that's a whole podcast, but new photographers are not going to care about that stuff early on. Like it's like maybe the bokeh, maybe they get the compression, but
It's
the
only gonna be
lighting
what they
should
see.
be,
It's only gonna be what they see. Like, "Yo, I want that movie look." That's kind of where it
yeah.
starts, right? I want that blur, but you have to understand what you're you have to go into what that is. You know what I mean? So I spent
Facts.
many years at, I call it YouTube University, man, where I sat down and I went through every piece of tutorial because my first video I did, one of the first ones I did, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But it's good to have people who have already done the studying and that can pass on this stuff. And that's why I appreciate like YouTube and people sharing content like that, because that really helped me save a lot of money instead of going to some big photography school and getting ripped for like, thousands and thousands of dollars or pounds. Um but to not to veer off from your journey, I want to know a bit more about some of the challenges, because you said something about fork in the road. And as photographers and videographers and creators, we come across challenges all the time on various different levels. So I wanted to know some of the challenges you've encountered as a content creator, and how have you overcome them, or have you overcome them?
That's really a great question, and it's always going to be a yes and no. If you're a creator, you're going to want more challenges. You're never going to settle. So this is an example here. I didn't want to shoot just, let me get three cameras. I'm starting a podcast, or creating a studio for podcasting. No, so there's a current setup. We'll have some behind the scenes on this. There's two seats here. There's two seats here. The lighting, the logos, like all of this stuff. So that was a fork in the road for me. I wanted more. Um, right now, it's funny. You started early and you said that you were moving away from photography, and then you found your way to kind of come back in. You know, uh, Dyer, keep trying.
Yeah, because I couldn't
In
lose
the
it. The
Johnny Lewis
passion,
conversation.
yeah, the passion was there, and then Johnny's interview just kind of like lit a firecracker under me, and I was like, "No, I can't deny this. I
Yeah, yeah,
can't."
and it's one is it's the ability to do it, and sometimes just to throw that out there, I'll come back to like my fork on the road is who's gonna do it, who's gonna
Mm,
care as much as you. Like for Johnny, there's nobody else in the industry that I'm like, yo, this guy's doing too much, right? He cares about the culture. He cares about like just hip hop. He's literally, you have to want to be part of that history in order to move forward. So
and deal with the bullshit that comes with it.
I mean, yo, that's six podcasts right there, bro. Like it's a lot. Industry is always a lot of bullshit. And to add to that, I was falling into that in that realm that
Mhm,
industry people, I'm not here to kind of bash anybody, but industry people are industry people. They deal with the people that cut checks, give them a certain amount of bullshit. So they pass that bullshit down to other areas. Not all of them, but I've seen it, I've heard it, I've been in those rooms. I did not want to deal with that. Coming from martial arts, super humble. I've also been in rooms that there are people that will literally kill you with their bare hands. Like they will kill you, right? So I'm like, if I'm putting up with people on top of me or punching me or whatever, I don't know if I want to deal with that type of bullshit, right? So I kind of stepped away from the industry type of environments.
mm.
So right now, the fork on the road is: do I continue photography and kind of document um, and not do any passion projects? Do I do this? This is my fork on the road. Do I do
Mm.
this and produce? You're producing a podcast. I want to produce podcasts for people. The other big fork on the road is, and you'd be one of the first to hear this. I want to travel a lot more. Like I've hit 14 countries so far. Haven't been to
That's a
London yet.
that's a privilege, and to just be able to
Yeah,
do that. And you definitely got to come to London. Like, I'm here already.
yeah, no, it's gonna happen. I got something in the works right now for July. I can't talk about it till the ink is dry, but it's gonna allow me to travel a hell of a lot more. So I just have to make sure it's good with the family. That they're gonna give me the leeway to follow a passion, and I want to document those journeys. I want to, I'm already in line to start talking more about travel
I
and
love
creating content, right?
travel photography. I love it, man. Every
So
time I get a chance to travel around the world, not to interject too much, but there's something about travel photography I love, because once again, if you take a picture of the, I don't know, Statue of Liberty, or you go to Eiffel Tower or the Roman Coliseum, like, it's just you and that thing, and whatever day it was, whatever the weather was, that's it. That's what you get. And there's a peacefulness, because it's not like working with a client where you have to like talk to them and get to know them and work with their personalities in different moods. This is you and just a object, or place. And so it's very therapeutic because you're just taking pictures of trees, taking pictures of things and monuments and certain things. And I don't know, and being able to travel and go to these places and meet the people and be involved. I mean, there's some I would say that's
Oh,
probably my
there's something on that,
top.
and that's a whole like podcast. Somebody, I started with like let's say street photography. I didn't do a lot of it, but it's like this weird, like you're a hunter and you're not even sure what you're hunting, right? When it comes to like street photography, you see composition, you see lighting, you see people, but are you telling a story or are you taking a picture of a landscape? And that landscape has its own story because of your settings and the time of day and the sun and the moon or the clouds or whatever it is. Like your composition tells its own story. And that's one of those things that you just kind of touched on it. It's calming as hell. Like to not have to depend on anybody else for
Yeah,
inspiration that you find it.
yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
that's
You hit it
different.
right on the
And
head. You
I'm
hit it
not
right on
saying
the
it's
head. Yeah.
better. You
It-
feel that. Like I'm not saying it's better, but it's different.
it's a
And that's
different
something
effect.
that I
Yeah.
yeah, and it's something that I need for me. Coming from martial arts, all I did was give. So I was a coach, a sensei, an instructor, a motivator. Some days you're a teacher, some days you're a parent, some days you're a role model. So like it's a lot. It's a lot of layers. And then when I moved away from that, I was like, okay, it's just me, this lens, and all of these buttons, right? And I was like, all right, I feel that. I feel comfortable with this. And then now I'm at the point where it's like, I don't know if I want to deal with people anymore. I think I want to
Mm,
deal with like in golf, you don't deal with the ball, you deal with the terrain. It's not the ball. They know how to put the
yeah.
ball everywhere. You're dealing with the terrain. Right? That's what golf is about. Everybody can hit the ball, but you have to know where to hit it, how far, how high, how long, like all of that. I don't play golf, but you're playing the terrain. So
Yeah.
that's how I kind of feel about travel photography. And it's like, I think I want to try that. Uh,
Well, I
and
think you
and
should. I think you should. I think you'll find great, great inspiration. You'll probably meet people along the way. You'll get to see places and historical sites, and shoot it from your perspective. And to me, that's one of the best educational experiences you can have. You can go to school, but traveling the world, meeting the people, documenting that, and being a journalist
incredible, man.
essentially of life is cool. And like you said, you don't have to depend on nobody. You don't have to depend on, oh, can you stand here and do this? Or damn, I got to get this shot, because this is literally you and the things that are going on. And then there's some spontaneity that comes there. And you wake up and it's a rainy day, but it looks gloomy, and you're like, oh my God, like, will I be able to capture the Roman Coliseum at this time, at this weather ever again? Probably not. This is a one in a lifetime moment that's going to come in. So I definitely recommend doing that. And I think it's important to maybe try to experiment with different elements of photography and find what brings out the best in you as a person through this type
That's
of work.
it. That's key. Yep. Absolutely.
And also what sharpens your greatest tools. So what another question I had for you was, well, could you share any memorable projects or collaborations that had a significant impact on your work? Is there anything that you've done in
Huge.
the
Yeah,
time that
that's a
you've done
huge
that?
question. I think one of the most significant were two. I went to so you just said something and I felt that. You said that you were kind of like the only photographer on this last thing in O2 Arena, right? Um,
Yeah.
is it O2? Did I say that
Yeah,
right?
the O2 Arena, yeah, in London. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
So I was
big
at
time.
Amasuda years ago, and it was like a Charlie Black's birthday. This was like early, and I had just worked with a team that won a two-time Emmy. Shout out to Never Settle Show, Mario Armstrong. Big shout out to those guys. I had a friend, a childhood friend, kind of connected me with that. I had the skill set, so I got connected with them. They won two Emmys, so that's to being on that team was huge.
That's
So the
dope.
day after they won the Emmy, the New York Emmy, I shot at. I'm sorry, the same day that they won. I had a second gig, so I double booked myself, and I shot an Amasuda Charlie Black's birthday bash. So there were a bunch of soca greats like OGs. There was Wayne Wonder. There was Machado, Montel Machado. I hope I'm saying that right. He's an OG dude. You know, if you know like Shaggy, he's been like that. Those guys travel.
Hmm.
So I was on stage by myself, no photographers at all. They were like pushed left. The other guys were pushed right. And I was there by myself. And I'm like, going back to those relationships, somebody got me on that stage and they believed in me. And that day was like, yo, I really, really enjoy stage photography. And again, going back to those moments, nobody's ever gonna be able to capture what I captured that day. So I got a couple of good shots of like Wayne One, the Charlie Black, but it was just that vibe. It wasn't about the work. It was about the relationship that was built. That somebody said, "Yo, pull up. Let's go do this. Let's go do that." Um, and that was a pivotal time for me. You know, I have other times that I've also been on stages, but I think that was like when I believed in creating relationships with people, believed in like my settings. I believed in like my lens choices. You know, we just talked about lighting, you know, believed in lighting. So that was a real, real pivotal moment for me. Like that I was like, all right, I'm doing this shit for real. Like, yo, I'm out here, y'all. And it's, you know, and I didn't even know the team won the Emmy at the time, by the way. So I did like
Mm.
some behind the scenes stuff with them. Hours later after I left, you know, they were at the gala at the
Met Gala.
Marquise.
Okay.
Yeah, the Met. Yeah, the not the Met Gala. It's called the Gala. It's called the Jesus, the Emmy, the actual presentation of the Emmys.
Okay.
Um, so I just did the behind the scenes stuff, and I was on stage with them a little bit, and then they won that same night. So that whole night just had this magic to it, you know. So it just was a real pivotal moment for me.
Yeah, I love moments like that. You feel a certain energy, like it's crazy, man. Just
It was electric, dude. It was crazy.
yeah,
And again, to be on that stage and seeing like nobody's coming in on this side, nobody's coming in on this side,
yeah,
that
that's your
was
moment.
definitely a
Yeah, you
moment for me.
owning.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're owning a
Uh,
moment, and you're
DJ
yeah.
Youngchild was right above me on the one and twos, like literally, like the DJ booth was right above me. So
Mm,
I'm like, no photographers here, no photographers here. So like that just came that, you know, I could do this moment. Like that was like early, I think 2019. I think it was
that's dope.
February or May 2019. So that was like really early for me.
That's dope. That's dope. You know, to be honest, you've done quite a lot in your time. You've the studio you put together, the photo studio, the amount
Too
of equipment that I've seen you had.
too
Yeah, like
too much, dude. I'm like, yo, wait a second.
nah,
And we
yeah,
took a break, right? 2020, 2021. It was a break. So we're
yeah.
talking about 2018, 2019. No 2020, no 2021, right? So let's remove those. 2023, that's it.
I know
We
it's
didn't I didn't do
crazy.
anything 2020.
Nah, you went hard with this, man. Because I
I
like
went
I
hard, dude. Like
it's crazy,
if I look at the
crazy.
client list and things that I've shot, I'm like, yo, what are you doing, bro? Like I
And
was
that's the
really
other
I
thing,
didn't
you
put
come too far. You come like, at this point now, like, even with me, like, even when I had, like, kinda, like, quit, at that point, I knew I had come too far. I had worked with D-Dub, and we had did so much classic, material, and it had such an
yeah,
influence on the industry. Okay, and then also in the community by artists coming to Boston Road and then spending money at the liquor store, the pizza shop, or the deli. Like, so we were like funneling the community. We were bringing celebrities and notable people to the area. Like, I just felt like, nah, man. I was working with Ron Browse. We started working, platinum producer who gave me an opportunity to work with him, and that took me to another tier of confidence. And so it was like, hold on, like, I've done a lot of cool shit already. I can't let this go. You know what I'm saying? And when you don't go to like university and you don't have certain things that other people might have, you got to build on what you got. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to let that go and then go take 5 years off and then want to try to start a new career. So I was like, nah, I've come too far. And when I look back now, that was not that was still very still I was light years away from who I am now. And
right, right.
it's just been an incredible journey, because had I not picked that camera back up, my life would have been pretty simple, I guess. It wouldn't have just
Bland. It's bland.
yeah, and I'm not a bland
You know,
dude, so, but
and,
it
and
wouldn't
that's
have
the
been
thing. I'm not.
yeah.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You're not a bland dude for sure.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have been iconic. Like, this shit is like the stuff that I've done, like Grateful, DJ Khaled, You know what I'm saying? Like the things that I've been a part of and gotten to do, and it's just like, wow, man, like you feel like you're living life. You're actually sapping the most out of the time that you're living with the good health that you've been given. So, um,
Facts.
I would say, so I say all of that to say that what you've done in a short amount of time is inspiring to me, and it's quite beast mode, man. But I like that. I like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like when someone says, "Oh, I like this," and I'm gonna go, and they just beast mode on it. Like, D Dub was the same way. Equipment all the time, new gadgets, and then that unlocks new power, and then you start developing a broader imagination. So, and then you become very deep as a person, like, because you're essentially a watcher. And in certain things, you have to pay attention to details. You have to be frank with people. You gotta be like, nah, that ain't gonna work. That's why you develop so many self characteristic building structures to
Self-aware.
who you
Become really
are.
self-aware.
Oh man, it makes you, it
Yeah.
takes you far out of the matrix, man, because you see things with an eagle eye in a way that maybe the average person doesn't, who doesn't pick up this camera and study this trade.
So to close out that point about doing the most, right?
Yeah,
I heard David Goggins say, somebody asked, like, you work out every day, you do XYZ. When do you rest? And he's like, I rest when I sleep or when I eat. He just doesn't rest, right? Like this guy, if you ever, look up David Goggins,
yeah, yeah. I
he's
know,
an
I know him. Yeah,
absolute,
yeah, yeah. He's like a bald
he's
headed
obviously,
black guy, right? He be talking mad
he's
assertive.
nuts.
Yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like I look at that sometimes and it's just like, all right, when do I stop? And it's like, I don't know. Like, why would I want to stop? Like, so
There's no-
I just came back from St. Lucia, right? And I'm planning right now. I'm not going to disclose what they are because I'm not sure if it's going to go down. Definitely San Diego. But in July, I'm looking at I'll be in 4 cities in July.
dope.
So I'll be in 4 cities, 3 countries, 2 countries, 2 countries, maybe 3 countries in July. 5 cities, 3 countries. So in a month's span or 40 days span, that'd be like 4 countries, 6 cities. So some people don't get to do that in a lifetime.
Exactly.
And I'm doing that in like a 40-day period. And this is just family. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's me, sometimes it's work, but it's a little bit of each. But the point is, life is meant to be lived. And a lot of people put so much strain on certain things that don't matter, and they don't push themselves or push relationships or push really themselves. They just kind of like, nah, my expiration clock is running fast, bro. I don't know when I'm going to expire. So it's just like, why not? This studio,
Yeah, you could
why
die
not?
in your sleep, bro. You could die in your sleep. You don't matter how healthy you are.
Facts.
People's hearts just stop stopping. Like, this shit is not. There's no
It's not
guarantees in any of
guaranteed,
it.
bro. Like I look at this studio, and you were sitting here, and in the and I love that you were one of the first people to bless it and work it and touch it, and all the moving
Bring it to
parts.
life. Yeah, bring it to life.
You brought it to life, and it's like I'm looking at the image of the what I'm looking at. You saw that for the first time here,
Mm,
like you were here physically, and it was one of those things that it's like, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I know it's going to get done.
I respect that.
I
I like that a
I
lot.
don't know. So yeah, I'm at a fork in the road, man, and it's a good one. I'm not going to get in my feelings about it. Like, it's a good fork in the road to have. It's a good problem to
You
have.
need that. You need those
First
forks in the
world
road.
problems.
Yeah, nah, you
Yeah,
need those
it's a
forks in
good
the
one.
road because they help you because this journey it should be a lifetime thing. Like for me, photography and working, just being behind the lens and documenting, hip hop and certain, iconic people in their respected trades. Doesn't matter if it's in music or not. Is a lifetime thing, and you're always gonna come across forks in the road, but especially early on when you're kind of in your first couple of years of doing this. But then what happens is you start to figure out who you are as a person through the trade, and you find out what you like, what you don't like. Sometimes you do it because you gotta get the bag a little bit. So you're like, all right, I'll go do that. Cool. But this will help mature you even at the age you're at now. Like it will just continue to develop you. So the fork in the road is good. It's challenging you. It's challenging you to find.
Yeah,
You know,
I accept. It's definitely I get to sharpen my sword. I accept the challenge. I'm good with it.
so what I wanted to know, and with the new decade coming in, right? We have about 3 years in. Um, are there any like trends or developments in the industry that you find exciting or think will shape the future of content creation going forward?
Absolutely, and we're not even touching it. We're nowhere near it right now. And I'm not even talking about AI. I'm talking about VR and AR.
That Provision, the VR thing and AI is like definitely the theme of the new decade here. Like we're
Yeah,
really ramping up now with this stuff, and
yeah. It's we're really behind. So when I got my Samsung 7, I don't know when that came out, but I think I got it like 2015 or 2017 or something like that. I got that. So I left Apple and I went to Samsung for one reason, for like three reasons. But the big reason was they married Oculus. So
mm,
for you to put a headset on, for me to put a headset on and go to Berlin and go to I don't know what it was, but Snoop Dogg was on stage. And I'm in my living room on the ottoman and I'm circling around and I'm looking and I'm like, yo, there's a chick right here having a good time. Homie's over there chilling. Snoop is over here on stage. Like that to me was mind boggling.
mm,
So we're not doing enough with VR yet. I don't think it's a culture. It's kind of like when cell phones came out and they were really small and then they got bigger and then they become personal electronic PIM. I can't remember
mhm,
personal information managers or PDAs, right? Personal digital assistants. That's what phones
mhm.
were considered at one point. PDAs, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
remember those, the
I
Palm Pilots and
yeah.
all that.
Some people do. You know, I'm a OG. I'm an old head. I'm 46, so I went through all the gadgets from beginning to end, like to now, right? I'm starting to shoot in VR now in 360. I don't think there's enough pushing people to do it. I think the phone is going to hold this for a little bit of time, but when we start really messing with VR, I think it's going to be a whole bag of tricks when we start shooting in more VR. We're not shooting in
Mhm.
360,
Yep.
and I really think that's untapped right now. So um,
Also, I think the integration of AI, like I use like even for like the podcast here, I just said I asked it to come up with some questions. It came up with some great questions
done
for me in relation to what I would say or think or do, but without having to use so much time to write them out and to figure out how I'm going to articulate it and say it and everything from grammar to pronunciation, everything. It's just
for sure.
it's
I'm
such
not.
a yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm not dialing down AI at all. I just AI is going to allow us to do what we do faster.
Yeah,
That's it.
basically.
Like if you were
Basically.
a schmuck, you're not going to be any better. You're still going to be a schmuck with AI. It's just going to give us. I completely agree with you. Like I've used it as well. I've used it to write sponsorship letters. I've used it to do certain things
Yeah.
to at least kick the ball, get the ball
It
rolling.
speeds up the process. I mean,
Speeds up
it's
100%.
incredible.
Uh,
It's
but when it
incredible.
comes to like what we see visually, I think that lenses are people are starting to understand lenses more. They're starting to understand distance more when it comes to like phones and gadgets. Like for content
Mhm.
creation, you get a lot of these angles, these whooshes. These people are coming in, out, right? But then VR, man, I don't
Yeah.
I don't think it's like taken off yet. So I think like the span now. You just mentioned Apple. They're starting to kind of see things, and Apple, they're trendsetters. They're always behind, but they bring their people with them. But they're always
Mhm.
behind on the trends. But when they bring something,
They set a
everybody's gonna go,
standard. They
"Oh,
set a standard to the industry though. So like
yeah,
what so
they
now
do
yeah, because now even though you had like the Oculus and all of that out, once this Pro Vision thing drops, and I've had some of the top people in the industry I've seen on YouTube say that this thing is mind blowing. And the fact you can videotape and it looks we're going to be so immersive, and AI is going to speed editing processes up. Captions and all of this stuff is going to speed up so quick that the power that we have to tell stories are going to grow dynamically, and they're going to be more immersive in a way that it makes sense why we're taking our time to get there though. Like now everyone's doing live streaming. Me and D Dub, we were doing that 10 years ago. We told people you were gonna watch radio and people thought we were bugging. And now that's what we do. Everyone does it. So, you
Absolutely.
know,
I can't believe
definitely.
I'm so late to it. Like I can't believe I'm so late. That's why I had to fast forward all of this because
Mhm.
I'm late. Like I'm like, wait a sec, what the fuck have I been doing? like like I feel like because I'm a tech guy. I've been in tech since 1999, so I can't believe I was so late to this game. But I'm here and I'm
It
gonna push
happens.
hard.
It happens. Well, one thing I want to know is, can you share a few of your favorite resources, books, or influencers that have had an impact on your creative process? Any resources that you've tapped into that have helped you that maybe can help the next person watching this or in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll give you I'll definitely it's hard because you mentioned YouTube University earlier, and it was really, really hard for me early in the beginning because there were certain things that I didn't know what they were called. So like now we could throw words around. We could talk about aperture and bokeh and compression. We could talk about these aspect ratios and lenses and even mounts, right? We can go crazy. But in the very beginning, when you're starting off, you don't know what you're looking for. So
Mm.
what I would highly recommend, and I'll give you two people that I watched early on, and I'll probably end up. It's hard to watch now because I'm doing my own thing now, so it's really hard to watch other people. But early on, I saw Manny Ortiz when he first started. He's a Chicago guy,
Yeah, yeah,
ex
yeah.
Chicago police guy, and also went through some depression. I
I didn't,
met
I didn't,
Manny.
I didn't know that, but I know he had this like really
Yeah,
cute girl that he used to shoot with, and
yeah,
she used to
she's
be
a
the model
nurse.
and all that. Yeah,
Yeah, she's yeah, his wife, she's a nurse, I believe, like a RN, and
yeah.
he
He used
also
to
went
shoot
through some
Sony. He used to.
depression.
Okay, yeah, he used to shoot Sony a lot, as well. I remember him. He's still doing his thing, I think, right?
Yeah. So I saw a lot of his videos and he breaks stuff down. Yeah, he still shoots. He still does great work. So I saw him earlier. I also saw Jared Poland. Uh,
Yeah,
my son,
Jared Poland, the guy with the afro, he's pretty dope too. Yeah, I
uh,
like him.
yeah, yeah. Fro knows,
Dope
right? And I
photos. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
Fro knows, right? And he
Uh,
has like a shirt like I shoot raw.
yeah, yeah, he's
And
big on the raw shooting. Yeah.
he broke things down in a way that I could understand it, and he was super informative. He wasn't he didn't bash any camera or any brand. He was just like, all right, this is what they do. This and Ben Manny also like so that's really important to not not go with a brand because somebody said so. Like you need to know why I don't like Sony. I don't like whatever. I don't like. There's certain reasons, for. So I think those two were super important to me. Like when I first started, let me to help me understand because you don't have a mentor sometimes. Or I've explained what you said earlier, like that crop factor and that math to so many people to the point that they're arguing with me. And I'm like, don't argue with me. Just put the lens in your camera, put the lens in my camera, and let's look through the little hole and let's see who's right. Like, but there's nobody out there really helping. Um, I'm gonna do a little bit of that, and when I start my podcast, watch the climb. Actually, look at that on cue. When I scripted like 13, 14 episodes, and I'll do a few that are gonna be gearhead related to break things down. For people like us, brown and black people, I guess, in the culture that want to get into this, I don't mind sharing. I love to share. I mean, I came from martial arts. That's all you do. You help, you share, you mentor, you motivate. Um, so yeah, those two man helped me a great deal, and I did get to meet Manny at one of the photo expos in New York. Shout out to Jay Cosmo, that's my guy, and
Yes.
we went together. We met Manny, and it was cool. He was like obviously one of the influencers there, and I didn't ask him any questions or anything, but it was kind of just cool to see he's a real person. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's helpful. Those two guys have been really really helpful.
That's dope, man. And you said he went through some depression. Did you want to touch on that? Because I was kind of interjecting, But did you want to touch on that? Because you maybe probably shared it. You'd be surprised how many of these people who have done certain things, go through certain things as well. So it's always good to know that you're not alone in your journey, whether it's in the creative world or not, and know that, okay, well, there are other people who have done dope things that also are still dealing with, you know issues and problems. Um,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, you say for me to share something on that on
well, I know you were bringing it up, so I just thought maybe it'd be a important piece of
yeah,
information
yeah,
here that
it's just I think it's important. I've never really said too much of it um I guess on camera, so uh this month, last month was really difficult for me. Like dealing with a lot, work, family, my kids, one of them, two graduations. My kids are 14 and 17. So you really have to be self-aware of, what things affect you, what makes you feel right, what makes you feel wrong. I did mention Manny that he went, he dealt with some things. Maybe he started photography because of that. Who knows? I
yeah.
know I started it because of that. And I also was diagnosed, which has been, I guess, my superpower. I was diagnosed, self-diagnosed, and then I went and I got some therapy with ADHD. So I didn't know because I've always been athletic. I've been in the martial arts. Then I'm a tech guy by trade, so I'm constantly problem solving, and you get, I guess the dopamine from fixing things. The same way that when you get that banger shot, you say change your settings, you're like, boom, you get it. You're like, it's a drug.
Yeah.
It fills you.
Hmm.
Um, so during like mental health, man, like even last month, it was I was going through it. I'm not gonna lie, like it was a lot to
I respect that, man,
process.
because I seen you go to the university with your son, and to juggle that, to work or do what you do in whatever industry you are plugged into, and then have this creative world of managing a business, clients, investing in a studio, and
Yeah,
all of
man.
that. I know,
Two
building it up.
businesses, right?
Yeah, building
And even
this.
it's you
Yeah,
just said it, building like a startup, and this is like from scratch, like the whole joint.
we watching the climb. We watching the climb. That's the climb.
Thank you, man. And your vision, your hustle, your climb, and it's like that's actually when I started photography. I was like, what am I gonna talk about? What am I gonna like? Even videos when IGTV was out prior to the reels, I'm like, what am I gonna say? Like, why am I doing this? And then I was like, well, everybody's climbing. You could watch my climb, so I just called it "Watch the Climb," and it just became kind of like a
It's very dope.
just an idea, not a movement yet, but it became an idea. Like, what am I gonna do? Well, you know, couple of days, like yesterday, less than 24, like a little over 24 hours ago, I was at the Larchmar yacht club. This
Mm,
thing was built in the 1800s. I was affected emotionally by being in a place that was built in the 1800s. So we're talking about, women couldn't vote, men were
mhm.
slaves, people, men, black people were like they were slaves, right?
Of
Um,
course.
Prohibition.
And the
Like you
world is
couldn't
just
smoke, you
super.
couldn't drink.
Yeah,
Like
the
we're
world
talking
was
about
just
a whole
different.
different world,
Yeah.
right? So I'm there, and I felt weird. I wasn't like, yo, we outside, y'all. Like, no, I was like, yo, this is not. I'm not welcome here. It just felt weird. And
Mm,
no disrespect to any yacht club, but these things were built as the boys clubs, and it was, predominantly white males, and like it was just a lot was going through my head just being there. And when you're watching and you're pushing and you're trying, you're going to end up in these situations and positions and environments where you have to, you know, be self-aware and be like, all right, wow, this is kind of cool, but at the same time, it's like this shit was built in the 1800s. Like I'm brown, like
word.
you gotta, you know,
But you
um,
put yourself, if you were in that time, you'd probably be in a whole different space. You know what I'm
I'll
saying?
be
So
in a hole. Like I'll be in a hole. Like
yeah,
literally, like
yeah.
I probably would not survive because I'm, and I've been watching like 1883, 1823, the two shows that are spinoffs of Yellowstone. So
Mm.
And we just went through like Juneteenth. Like there's a lot, it's a lot of shit that you start to really. You're in London, bro. Like that's like, it's having its own um revolution in a way. I think now and it's just that you got to process all this shit. So I have to uh going back to the mental health. Like when you're processing all of this, you have to process the good and then kind of omit the bad.
Yep,
So
100%.
anyway, I rambled a little bit on the mental health, but it's important. I'm gonna talk
But
more
it
about it another
is.
time. But
No, it definitely is, man. I mean, I
I
think
mean,
it's
we
good.
chatted when you were here, man. From you came from, not too long ago. We chatted a little bit about
Yeah,
wife and the kids, and it's a lot. It's a lot to deal
it's a
with,
lot.
and
But
men
that's why I
don't do tea
appreciate you. But
time.
that's why I appreciate what you do because you do a lot. So sometimes when you feel like you feel overwhelmed, you're looking like, damn, well, damn, Hector's putting a mad bread for the studio. He's buying mad stuff. Either putting himself in debt to get back out of debt, or because he wants to do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, and
Yeah,
for me, sometimes it's better, you say to yourself, like, damn, why did I even buy all of this? Why did I get the studio? I could have just saved all that money. But then you look at
yeah,
what you're doing for other people, and then that comes into play. And then it's like, well, we can't take all of it with us neither. So we got to use it. So, I think it's, mental health. People need to know that
yeah,
everybody is human and everybody is on the same planet, breathing the same air, and relying on the same natural resources in order to live a comfortable life. So, I'm never one to, mental. If you want to talk about that, that's all good, man. This place is, the Creative Vibe podcast is a holistic place anyway,
it's
man.
to
To
say
talk,
it's a holistic place.
yeah. Like
But
I just
even
want
to
people
be
to be able to
creative,
talk.
man, you know, pulling back in order to be in a creative mindset and be part of a vibe and do things, you have to be in the right mindset.
Hmm.
You have to be surround yourself with the right woman that's going to allow you to
Very
push
important.
you. Sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes it's not a woman that's going to be out the way. It's going to be a woman to be like, yo, what's good. Like she has to push you, guide you.
Hmm.
Sometimes, um,
Friends
you
too,
know,
family,
yeah,
circles
friends
of
too,
people.
for sure.
Or just
You know,
associates, work environment, all of that stuff matters, man. Because you got a lot of people that don't know the problem. I think with the health thing, and no matter what industry you're in or whatever you're doing, I think it's just people have a lack of awareness for who they are, and then other things control the mind. So you hurt yourself because you don't have control over your addictions or the things that stimulate you, and instant gratification takes over, or comparing yourself to people but not understanding what it took for them to get there. That's why, like, old folks used to say, mind your business, because you don't know what it is that's you don't know, and you probably don't want to know. So instead of comparing and
yeah,
sizing yourself up to someone else because they got a new camera, because that happens a lot just in the creative space. Oh, what kind of camera you got? Oh, well, I got the R5 and I got this. And you're like, oh, well, I only got this one. And you start feeling like whack. And I've always told photographers, like, yo, whatever camera you got, bro, you can make something fly, even with your phone. Anything you could do fly. It's just about knowing what you're doing. So, you know, understanding who you are and working on you is the best thing you could do to eliminate mental health
yeah.
problems.
You just said one of them, which is really important. You said comparing. The other thing that really hurts the creative vibe, right? To use that is a real simple one: imposter syndrome. And I think you probably had that as well at one point. The question is like, do you belong? Like, can I be this guy? Am I that guy? Like, and that sometimes is very detrimental to men, to creative men, to uh, people that push forward. It's like, all right, do I belong? When
Mhm.
when you start comparing and contrasting, you're kind of like you fall into that category or that rut, and you're kind of like, do I? Then you snap out of it, but like, hell yeah, I belong. Like who? When you look left, you look right. Like who's doing what I'm doing? Like when you look at your peers, who are they? You may have a couple guys ahead. You may have a couple of guys behind you. But if you look left and you look right, I don't see anybody that has a space in the Bronx that's a photography space. And shout out to myself. This Bronx photo there and this Bronx tail studio here. I don't have peers. So I see guys that have done it at a higher level, and I see guys that are really far behind. But when I look left and I look right, it's like, damn, and that fuels me sometimes.
Mhm.
But it's hard because I don't have big homie. I don't have a mentor. I don't have anybody to ask. How would you do this? How would you do that? I got actually you and K Boogie because I've and I have a lot of questions in certain components and hardware, but that's something that creatively um, we have to own. We have to know and continuously ask ourselves, do we belong? And that's in any aspect, whether you're an athlete, doesn't matter what it is, an artist. We're all artists. Our canvas is just light. We use light, you know, to expose, but we have to think about that. And it's yeah, I don't think I've ever said that on a mic before. But yeah, man, it's a big deal because it gauges you. It could be unfortunately a barometer, and then it'll gauge you, and it'll measure you, and then it'll stunt you. Uh,
100%.
that's something. It's rough, but as a creative, you're gonna deal with that. In
Yeah.
athletics, there's numbers, so you can gauge certain things.
You can
There's
measure it. Yeah.
Kobe's and there's greats. You can always like gauge it, but when it comes to like this field, likes and views are not. That's not the only way to judge this game. So,
Yeah, and that's the other
uh,
thing that causes I think the mental health thing too, or just people feeling a bit weird is the whole numbers game and stuff like that. But I don't
yep,
care about that because I know people are seeing it. Tyler the Creator said that he said, look, you never know who's watching. There was this guy on YouTube
I saw that
and yeah, he
absolutely.
had like no views on his videos and stuff for mad long, and then he came across it and found it interesting, and then gave him hollered at him and pulled and basically gave him an opportunity. So that's why I think you should, once you get to know yourself and you know what you're doing, just do it. Put it out there, work on it, and let it go. Just let it fly. If it picks up, it's gonna pick up. If it don't pick up, it
But
don't
you
pick up.
but you got to do the work. Like
Gotta do the
that's
work.
the thing that you got to do the work. Like I'll give you a quick one. Um, I had an opportunity to work with Earn Your Leisure, and first of all, I didn't know who they were really, and I didn't know how great they were going to be. Right. So, but the point is, my work led me to that conversation of me pursuing and shaking hands and being around people, and it felt great to be like, you know, that might have been one that got away, but again, they've moved their studio from Westchester. They're also all over the world. They're not going to match my salary. They're not going to, what I'm making my 9 to 5 is I'm okay. So they're not going to be able to match that. And I'm going to be away from my family chasing these guys around. But the point is that my work and my relationships, that's what I said earlier with you, put you in certain places and it put me in certain places. So don't stop the work. Like the work has to be there. You have to push. You have to learn. You have to keep your sword sharp at all times. Iron makes iron, and you got to constantly sharpen your sword. I'm doing it now. I'm doing it with this production. I have to stay sharp. As you didn't pick up, and just say, oh yeah, put the light here and put this light here and put this light over here. No, you have to learn that. Like
But
that's
that all comes down to passion, right? If you're passionate about something, then you're gonna get to the gym early. You're gonna do it. You have to tap into the benefits of the work, the journey, and the process of maturating, or if that's the right word, of developing what it is
manifesting.
that you're
Yeah,
doing. Yeah, manifesting. You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
what
Show up.
you
Though. I think I love the word passion, but and coming from like martial arts, and I'll go back to that. I'm gonna go train again, um, probably in the next 2 to 3 months. But
do.
passion never fueled it because your bumps and bruises and things don't move right, and your neck hurts, and your arm hurts, and this hurts and that. But the discipline has to like be like, no, I gotta show up. I got people
Yeah,
counting on me. I gotta
yeah,
show up. I gotta show up. Like that has to be it. Like your why, because passion burns and it gets hot and it burns hot and it feels great and then it goes away. And then it comes back and you refuel and you rekindle, right? You just said uh the homie, big homie Nunez, right? Like Johnny Nunez relit a spark. He relit a spark to me when I watched him in the Nas show. and I was taking a picture, and I was like, "Yo, that's Johnny Nunez," right? And then Nas said it in his line, like he rapped about it. Now Johnny
Facts.
Nunez taking all the shots or got all the shots. It's like
Johnny Nunez got all the
that's
pictures.
life. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I saw Nunez in the pit. Like I took a picture in the pit. I got it on my phone. Like I seen Johnny in the pit. So the point is like he showed up. He showed up when nobody cared. He showed up when there were 30 photographers, 50 photographers, 100 photographers.
Man, he's
He
put in
showed up
that
again and
time.
he kept showing up
Yeah.
and kept showing up. Like that's what it is. Like he's showing up. Like I love the word passion. Trust it. I love it. The problem with the word passion is it's a roller coaster. You never know what you're gonna get. Like you really don't know if you're gonna be a 10, a 5, a 7, a -7, a 5, a 30. No, but just
Mm,
show up anyway. Show the
fact,
fuck up. Show up.
facts.
Yeah, show
Well,
up. But
what I would like to say is, you
you
know,
showed up. You showed up.
oh yeah,
Nah, nah.
I'm gonna keep showing. I'm gonna
No,
keep
I'm
showing
saying
up,
like
man. Yeah,
you showed up. You were like, I'm pulling up. And I love that you were here with K Boogie energy. You went on the other side, you went crazy with it.
yeah,
I
that was hard.
watched
Those
it. I
freestyles are
was a
hard, man.
second camera dude, and I let you work. I was this is what you doing.
And I
Um,
appreciate that. I appreciate that so
I
much,
know
man.
I know what it looked like. I know what it is to be a second shooter. Like you what you need me to do. Get this to work, get that to work, do this.
Yeah.
Boom. I
Well,
back
what I
up.
think about it is, I've seen how much work you put in, and I put in, 15 years behind the lens between, being, helping D and working with D, and then, working with K Boogie and just working with all these guys that are just really into their stuff, and then now getting a chance to work with you was really dope, because I could see that I was inspiring you through my skill set, and then at the same time that's empowering me because it's like, wow, look at all the work you've put in to have this facility and the studio and the money and time that is spent to do that. And I really seen what we were capable of doing. And I didn't really have to say much to you. You just was like, yo, I got the second camera. Yo, let's do this lens. Yo, I'm gonna get the BTS with this. And I'm like, man, like that just makes life fun, because it's something you like to
Facts.
do.
Facts.
You're creating content that is impressing the audience and the client or the people that's involved, and we're taking this moment to make something that is could trend or trend later on in life. And I just really appreciate the effort you put in to help me get the Creative Vibe podcast going again, because it was like 2 years from when I first did the first two episodes. And you need to be in the right space, and to have kicked off episode 3, 4, and 5 the way that we did, and then to come back and do 7, and now you're sitting there, and I'm at my set
But
back home.
you see
Yeah,
the mental health portion of it, right? You were out, and now you're back. Like it goes full circle when you're kind of like it's a vibe, like the creative vibe. It's like you're like, wait a second.
yeah,
If the vibrate like I'm staring at a 32 band, 2 channel uh um equalizer. Each band has a frequency. If we're not on the same frequency, it's not gonna work.
it's not gonna
This
work.
mic was gauged at a frequency. Everything. We use these words too loosely. Vibe, it's a vibe, like it's a vibration.
Yeah,
And if you're not
and yeah.
connected,
Mhm.
it ain't gonna work.
And it's okay to take a break. Like, I do this at my own leisure, when I have time, when I have the
Yeah,
mental
yeah.
capacity, because it's stimulating to me to have conversations. And why not have a conversation that doesn't fall on deaf ears, right? We've talked for hours on the phone, but why not put it in a form
Facts.
and a platform that can be left there to not only maybe monetize or make you some money down the line, but also to spark the minds of somebody
Inspire others,
now,
man. Like
yeah, and
you
generations
said it.
later.
You just said, your story. You mentioned Johnny's story. I gave you my story. Like I'm at a fork in the road right now. You were at a fork in the road. Somebody else is gonna watch this and be like, "Yo, damn, I felt the same exact way."
And
I
that's
was,
all I want.
even if it's lens choices, even if it's like what camera, the best camera is the one you got. What camera should I buy? The one you got. Why you need another camera? So there's certain limitations clearly, but those forks in the roads are a part of the creative process. Like those fork in the road, man. I want to deliver some great news in July, uh, but that took time. Those are relationships.
Yeah.
Somebody trusted me the same way you trusted me to be the second camera guy. Like that was a level of trust, and you were like, okay, this guy's doing it,
But it
and
goes
it's
back to
hard for
putting in the
people like
work.
us.
It goes back
Yeah,
by putting in that work. I've seen you put in work. Watched the equipment you bought. I understand that even if you don't feel like you've mastered it, I feel like you're on the path of
yeah, for sure.
reaching master mason level of this because you're buying the right equipment. You're taking time to study, this, and you're getting all these gadgets and things that enable you to create content and do things at a high level. And that to me just gets me going. If you get a GoPro, I'm like, ooh, where we could put the GoPro? Let's wrap the GoPro around my
Yeah,
wrist
yeah.
and
I
grab
just
a
shot with one,
doorknob and
man. You,
yeah, like
and it's the thing with the travel, man. Not to really, get on that. I know it's getting late, but when I'm traveling, I those creative juices just start dripping out. No pause. Damn, the
mm,
camera pause. Hold up.
that's all good. Now we definitely did, but I kind of knew we were gonna go into that space because
Yeah, I'm
the
gonna
way that
close
we
with that though.
connect.
If you got something else, I'll keep it short. So like the travel thing, I can't really jump too deep into it right now because
Well, what I was gonna ask is
it's
what do you have coming up? Like, is there anything that you got coming up that you
yeah.
can
So
talk about?
I gotta
That
well, I could talk about these things. So I got family vacation coming up. I'm gonna use the GoPro. You just mentioned the GoPro. I wanna shoot differently. I wanna try different things. Um, and it's gonna help me gain some confidence for other things. Martial arts. I snowboard. Like there's a lot of things that I do. And I want to start shooting more content. I want to start shooting content for fighters, for people that may not have access to um, people like us. I wanna document some of these journeys, man. Some of these insecurities. That the fight game is ugly, is dirty, is rough.
Well,
Uh,
come to London. I
I
know
want,
Michael Venom Page, man. He's still kicking. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. I
yeah,
got a chance to document him training other fighters and getting into the
and
octagon.
that's a whole different world, man. Like going back what you just said about documenting documentaries and just journalism. Uh, it's once it's written, it's written. And I think to give you your roses about putting in the work. It's like look left and look right. If there's nobody at with you, that should tell you, man, this there's nobody in my lane. Just run through it. And
Facts.
that's how I felt when I opened up a school. I had a 5,500 square foot facility in the Bronx.
Yeah, you're a
Um,
different type of dude, man. The way you be
and I
building
just
stuff and
yeah, I
crazy.
went crazy. I got receipts for that. It's on YouTube. You could look it up right now. Senshi Okami. SENSHIOKMI. Like I went crazy. And I think of myself 10, 15 years ago, and I'm like, damn, that dude was out of his mind. But I want the guy that's 65 looking at 46-year-old me going, that dude was out of his mind. And I just have that, man. It's like I don't want to leave regret out on the table. I'd rather do it, fail fast, fail hard, and then do it again and keep it moving. So, I think that to me is inspiring. So I have to, long story short, Joe Rogan said something like, what if you had a camera crew following you around, like what would you do? Like how would you if you were your own, you know, protagonist,
Surveillance.
you were your own,
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You were the main character in your own movie. What would you do? How would you act? Like that's crazy to me. Like that's
Mm.
like we have that right now. You pick up the camera, you say you're gonna do something, you hold yourself accountable, and you show up. So that to me, you were, when I met you, I was like, yo, this guy's everywhere. Like, what is he doing? He lives in London? Like, who comes to the Bronx? They live in London. Like, that's bougie to me. Like, why would you be here? But then I started looking at your history, started seeing who you've been around, what you've done. Look at your IG. Like, even with this verification thing, like you're the only guy in the lane. Like, unless, like I said, look left, look right. If there's nobody there, it's your lane.
Yeah.
Literally, if there's nobody there, it's your lane. There could be guys that are ahead of you, behind you, but if you're left, right, and there's nobody on you, you're on your own.
Yeah.
And
And I think
this,
that's important too, is to stay
you
like
got to
be in
big
your
yourself
lane,
up.
yeah, and stay in your lane until you're ready to switch lanes. I've always learned,
Yeah,
maximize on that lane. Um, so to kind of close out, because
yeah,
it's
man.
2:18 now, and I knew we would kind of go
Damn,
into
bro, what
that.
are we doing over here? Nah, nah, I
Yeah, it's
appreciate
cool.
you.
Now we having good conversation, good talk. Is there anything that you want the world to know about Hector Hernandez, Smile NYC? Is there anything that you want to say to the young generation? Is there anything that you want to just put out there? What do you want to be remembered for at this point? At
I
this point in
honestly,
your
man, if
career.
I kind of said it earlier, and I haven't said it enough. You going back to with Joe Rogan, the whole, starting you, like watch the climb, be that person, and I think that's really, really important. Again, I had hundreds of kids come through the door, probably thousands, maybe that I've witnessed or helped with, and it's like everybody can do it. You just got to put the time in. So if I said anything and if anything is remembered, I'm gonna try. Like I don't want it to sound corny, but we're gonna try. We're gonna get rich and die trying. Like literally, like there's no plan B right now. So if you can
Mm,
take a little bit of that with you, that's what I like to be remembered by. Like yo, we're gonna do this. Like let's watch the climb.
that's dope, and I look forward to that, man. That's an ill concept. I look forward to more of
There it
what
is. Boom, right on cue.
um Yeah, I look forward to more of what you're gonna put out, the traveling, the new ventures you're gonna go into, and also I look forward to coming back to New York and doing more work with you,
Yo, I
podcast
might be there
wise and
before you
everything.
come
So,
here.
well, that's cool,
and,
man.
and I gotta hit these continents. I got a lot of countries that I haven't been to, so definitely England is one of them. I gotta go hang out with the Brits for some scones,
Yeah, come get some scones.
some
You know what I'm
scones and
saying? Come
tea,
get some
all
fish
that.
and chips. I'm really big in Brixton right now with the whole chip shop, Brixton Chip
Yeah,
Shop. Shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? The whole hip hop community out here. So it's going down, man. But I just want to say
love
thank
it.
you for coming on the show, taking time out to do another episode with me. This is a longer. I knew we was gonna put in time,
Lucky
but
seven though. Lucky seven.
100%, 100%. Lucky seven, the God number. But yeah, I just want to say thank you for coming on the Creative Vibe podcast and having this conversation
Appreciate you,
with
dude.
me. And I look forward to what we're gonna do in the future. So,
You already know. Appreciate you,
that,
my guy.
nah, no doubt, brother. So this is on behalf of Demetrius Bonner Lens, Hector Hernandez, signing out.